in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to who? Sinisterhood.
Welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday, where we tell your odd but true stories. It is Friday, September 12th, and the news hasn't stopped. It never feels like it stops, but the last two and a half days have been really wild.
Yeah. So we're recording this on 9/11, which in and of itself is a day of reflection, remembrance. One of the very first stories we have today is, we'll be talking all about that. Obviously, yesterday, another huge news story happened when right-wing political activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot during a speaking event at a college campus in Utah.
Yeah, he was shot from a rooftop while speaking at Utah Valley University. And I was trying to recall other similar, obviously he's not technically an elected official political figure, but Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark Hortman, the Minnesota state representatives that were just killed in June.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, of course, the assassination against the president, which I was listening to Breaking Points, which I appreciate as a news source. It kind of gives a balance. And they were saying, we sort of as a public expect there to be some attempt on a president, right? Like, we don't want it, but when it happens, we're like, oh, he's this figurehead. But when you hear of like Nancy Pelosi's husband in 2022, Representative Steve Scalise in 2017, all the way back to Gabby Giffords back in 2011, I think we've been going down this really horrific trail toward where people just watched a man be gunned down in high def. And the students at Utah Valley filming themselves, you can just tell they're in shock. One of them was like almost kidding around in the initial videos and is like, I think there's a shooter. And then later on, he's in his apartment and he's just like, he was in the middle of a sentence. And like, and that kid definitely ideologically was very opposed to Charlie Kirk. You can tell, but you just see what it does to a 19-year-old to just watch that violence unfold in front of him.
His wife and daughter were watching. So, there's a lot of discourse right now. The internet is a hard place to be right now. And if you don't need to be there, maybe take a break because, it's a toxic place right now. It's bringing up a lot of very interesting conversations. And I reposted on my own stories because in these times like this, I always like, who's someone that's smarter and more qualified than me to like explain in a very eloquent way how I'm feeling that maybe I don't have the right words for. And there's a therapist I follow on TikTok that made a really good post that was like, you can hold two truths in your hand at the same time. Obviously, we do not condone violence of any type. We would love to see stricter gun control so things like this don't happen. Specifically, in our schools, on the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a school shooting in Evergreen, Colorado that didn't get nearly the attention it would have otherwise and probably should have. Am I happy that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed? No, of course not. I never wish that upon anybody, even if I disagree with literally everything that's come out of their mouth that I've ever heard them say. Still, violence is not the answer. Violence begets violence, which some might argue is, it's very ironic that the last few things he was talking about was misinformation about gun control and mass shooters when he himself was then shot. He himself has also said part of the Second Amendment is expecting and accepting gun deaths. Again, I'm not saying that he should have been killed in that manner at all. It's horrible. It was horrible that hundreds of college kids saw that. His family saw it, that I have seen it.
I've seen
multiple angles unedited that I'm quite shocked are even still out there. It's horrible. If you don't like seeing that stuff, I definitely suggest not seeking it out and scrolling past anything you might find.
No,
All that to say is, I think a lot of people either feel nothing, feel numb, feel anger, feel sadness. All of those are valid feelings. If you were someone that kind of felt nothing, the therapist I follow made a good point that was like, you can mourn the loss of senseless lives and the fact that violence is how it is without maybe mourning a specific life. If that specific life only spewed hate and against your people you identify with, your group, your people you love, then I don't think it's unreasonable when that person dies for those people to say, that is a shame he was killed in the way he was killed. My life shall go on. I don't know. I mean, it's a very hot topic, but for many people, it's hard to feel empathy for someone that spewed so much hate and also fought for the right for people to carry guns. Unfortunately, he was on the wrong end of it, but it's a sticky place for a lot of people.
Oh, definitely. I think what is igniting a lot of it, I think, is the social media aspect of it. And I just think back to Renee DeResta's book, The Invisible Rulers, that when I pull up my Facebook, it shows me stuff that's diametrically opposed to how I feel. And I think it does that to piss me off, to get me to respond. And so a lot of times when people are posting these things, I think they've been riled up before they go and post them. And so want to say, he was a hero. He was a good man. He was a martyr. He was this. And it's like, we have to tell the truth. I'm a Zen Buddhist, right speech. You have to truth tell without denial. It's a practice of compassion, and it acknowledges the suffering of those people that he was targeted. The words coming out of his mouth vilifying trans people at the time. I'm not going to tell a trans person. I'm not a trans person. I love many trans people in my life. I'm not going to tell a person to feel a certain way about something that endangers them. So I don't control how anybody processes anything. For me, I acknowledge the person he was, the words spoken, and I also am a nonviolent person. I think anybody being shot for what they said, as a person who makes a living talking in a mic, I don't want that to become a thing. I think of Alan Berg, who is a liberal Jewish radio DJ, who's the subject of Oliver Stone's movie Talk Radio. He was gunned down by a white supremacist organization, 30, 40 years ago. And like I said, all those politicians we talked about earlier, the danger is the pendulum, right? Like, let's not celebrate anyone getting their throats shot out in front of a crowd of people, because it could very easily be a progressive voice the next time, or a person in the middle or whatever. And it's like, we don't want that to happen at all. And the problem is it's a powder keg. And my question always, when you've been fed something by social media, ask yourself, who is Nancy McKinney? Who says, consider the source, and is it being fed to you because it's something that's going to help you process this, or it's going to piss you off and get you into a fight with your neighbor? Shit you'd never say to their face, and you're saying stuff on the internet. So you got to, listen deeply. If you're hearing something and it's like, I don't think he was a real religious guy. It's like, he wasn't. Like, he was religious, espousing his religious beliefs, but he advocated the Great Replacement theory, which makes me, as a person in an interracial relationship, less safe in the world. I mean, if we ever had children, my biracial niece that I have are like part of a large conspiracy against the white race. Like, are you kidding me? So words matter. I don't think that the people that say those words ever deserve to be on the end of anything violent, though. Certainly not. Yeah.
I mean, we could go through a list of all the horrible things he said in the various groups that he attacked. And probably everyone listening is on there's a Venn diagram where you fall somewhere in that. Again, of course, we don't condone violence. We don't want anyone to get gunned down, especially kids in their schools. And I'm just going to keep going back to that, because I've seen a lot of, and not just like news sources posting stuff, individuals that I know posting stuff, that it's disappointing. And when you see people that never have anything to say when there's a school shooting or when any of these Democrats have been assassinated, but when this happens, all of a sudden it's like, oh, someone was shot just for speaking out about their political beliefs. Yeah, it's happened for centuries. I saw somebody post, this is going to be this generation's MLK, which I would like to say, absolutely not. Because MLK did, he was on the good side.
He brought people together. And I will say, for those who are saying that, go look up, there's a Wired article specifically that tracked Charlie Kirk's disdain for MLK and his particular obsession with dismantling the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So again, it's like, let's be careful when we're playing a Sam Cooke song while we're putting a picture of Charlie Kirk up. Like, do you know a change is going to come is about being a black man in Jim Crow South? Like, please, oh God, just read the fucking, Google it for 2 seconds. So it's rough to see that.
It is. And two things can be true. Someone can be a terrible person that we all disagree with. And we also don't think they should get gunned down in front of a group of people in their family. Of course not. Now, with that comes some context of why you might not feel any remorse about this happening. Maybe you feel nothing. Maybe you feel anger that this is what's getting people to speak out, that for so long we've all been saying, but this is what we've all been yelling about. Like, it doesn't need to be. It takes a very far right political influencer to be targeted for that to be why change should come about, when you have 5-year-olds that have been gunned down in their classrooms for just going to school.
It's my understanding the young lady who was a bullet was lodged in her brain. She's 12 in Minnesota, is still in the hospital. So you're right. Like it sort of rings hollow to be like, I'm shocked at the level of violence. And then, well, I don't think you are, though, because also, people that are walking down the street are getting snatched off and put by masked men in vans and made to kneel on their knees and eat food out of the bowl like a dog with their hands bound behind their back. So I don't know that you care about violence as much as you say you do. Or perhaps it's a wake-up call and you go, oh, holy shit, I haven't been paying attention. And this guy who maybe I sometimes follow got shot. And now I'm very shook by this and worried. And I should care that we've lived in an increasingly violent society, because it, much like oftentimes in these situations, now it affects me.
That's kind of what I was getting at. And we can't live in a society where it's like, oh, well, now someone I care about was assassinated, so I'm going to do something about it. Because if you can say that and you don't care about the hundreds of kids that have lost their lives to gun violence, it's literally the number one killer of children in the United States, then where have you been? In the past 2 weeks, there's been 2 school shootings. And everyone's just thoughts and prayers. Oh, we'll think about them. And then this guy gets killed and everyone's like, oh my God, how can anyone speak ill of him? Because he was a terrible human being. I'm sorry he was assassinated in front of a group of people. That doesn't eliminate the fact that he was a hate mongerer and spoke out against women, trans, black and brown people. Everybody that abortion, was not a cis white man could basically fuck off for him, So we should all be allowed to say whatever we want and without violence. We also live in a world where if your platform is everyone should be able to own a gun and carry it wherever they want, and you're spewing a bunch of hate and violence, we can't be shocked when someone is like, enough, because that is not what should be shocking. The shocking part is people are getting into colleges and elementary schools with assault rifles and taking out full on, graduating classes. That's shocking. Someone that has said women should just get married young and have babies. That's all they're good for. Abortion is worse than the Holocaust. Stuff like that, when that person is shot, is way less shocking to me. Still upsetting, but definitely not shocking.
It's very upsetting. Yeah. I mean, the question it begs to me is, at what point is the internet's fanning of these flames to attract attention. I mean, at the end of the day, he would film these things and put them on the internet, right, for views. And so the more controversial, the more shocking things you say, it's getting these people to be elevated to these large positions. And like I said, it makes me think of Alan Berg, honestly, which like I probably agreed with a lot of what Alan Berg said, and I disagree with what Charlie Kirk said. But I think a lot of the things, in some cases, you kind of say things to get more attention or to like get people fired up. And it's a very scary world we live in when we have to ask ourselves, what is that tension point where you've said something so controversial that, you got so many views, but you get whoever it is on the other side of that weapon to go, that's it. I don't know. I wish that we lived in a place that never happened, that it was all just very good spirited debate, but weapons of war are very easily accessible. You can get one for about $500 from a teenager up the street at an old warehouse. So, I will end us on, if I may, my only thing is I'm not here to tell anybody how to grieve this man, in what way and how much, but I will quote Anne Lamott, who's one of my favorite authors. And she says, you own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If people wanted you to write or speak more warmly about them, they should have behaved better. I can say what I can say because of how his words affect me, but other people and other groups and may have even more fiery things to say than me, and I'm not here to police them.
No, that's not our job. It's a scary and weird time. I hope that this does not lead to more violence in this way. At this point, I'm like, I always am like, if after Columbine nothing happened with guns, like, when's something going to happen? Is it when someone from the far right gets shot that advocated for those very gun rights? We'll see.
It doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
I don't think anything will change though.
Yeah. I was like, are people so shocked because his death was, sort of live stream in 4K versus, but Columbine, I mean, back in the old days of the internet, you could watch the Columbine footage. Like I've online watched walking
around the empty halls.
I don't know that seeing it makes it different. Yeah. Or the Uvalde footage from the body cam or the police in there while it's all happening and stuff. We've seen this horrific violence happen in 4K in real time. I mean, it was just not a well-known, with some group, semi-beloved white man. Is that why? And it was, kids, nobody, we don't know, faceless kids. Who cares if they get shot down? But like this guy, I don't know. I don't know why some people, to me, I'm horrified at all of it. Like what those machines do is crazy what it does to the human body. Nobody should be on the other end of those things. Like it's horrific. So yeah, I don't know why some people are more affected by this, but maybe it'll be I don't want to say a turning point because I genuinely don't mean that as a pun because that's the organization who's been, but I do wonder if this is like an inflection point, something that will change. I don't know.
We'll see. The next few weeks, I'm sure, will be quite telling.
Feels very 70s-ish, though. Very, people are saying fourth turning. The planets are all in the same alignment as they were during the French Revolution, the American Revolution, World War II, the Civil War. I was like, could you guys cool it? We've got enough shit on Earth. We don't need the planets all getting in alignment to these, violent times. I hope not.
Well, that's all we're going to say on that. So, yeah, on our social pages and stuff, keep it civil. Yeah. Everyone. I mean, everyone's got a right to their own opinion, but let's try and have some civil discourse when discussing this.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Do you struggle with procrastinating? When you put off doing something that could save you a ton. I used to be a huge procrastinator until I heard about Mint Mobile's best deal of the year that's ending soon. 50% off unlimited premium wireless for new customers. Mint Mobile provides such a reliable, great service. It's super easy to switch. You save a lot. It is way cheaper than other providers by a lot. And I feel like the service is not, if not just as good, better. Truly, it feels. With plans starting at $15 a month, Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless service on the nation's largest 5G network, the coverage and speed you're used to, but way less money. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling, literally and financially. The best part, use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number right along with all your existing contacts. But hurry, because this deal ends September 22nd. It was very easy to get the show set up on Mint Mobile for it to be our official wireless sponsor. The setup was easy. The service was easy when we would travel with the phone. It worked no matter where we went. We loved it. And it could not have been an easy thing. So if you're procrastinating, don't do that because it's really easy and you can save money. Quit stalling and start saving when you make the switch. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/Sinisterhood. That's mintmobile.com/Sinisterhood. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Well, that out of the way, like I said, we're recording this on 9/11, so it's appropriate that this very first one from Katie is titled, Where Were You on 9/11? Hi, Heather and Christy. Love you guys so much and finally timed it correctly to send in this story. I was born in 1996, and for some reason, the topic of, do you remember 9/11? And where were you on 9/11? come up more often than one might think. I do indeed remember 9/11, despite being in kindergarten, because I grew up in East Pennsylvania, and my family lived on Long Island and worked in the city, so it was personal. Thankfully, no one in my family was harmed. However, this story is not about me, but about my friend who was in second grade in Naperville, Illinois, who did give permission to share. I can't imagine being a teacher or adult whose job it was to explain the horrific events on this tragic day to innocent children. But instead of addressing the situation head on or waiting to allow parents to address it as they saw fit, the administration at the Chicago suburb elementary school instead told all of the children that they couldn't go outside and needed to go home early because of a swarm of killer bees. Yes, a swarm of killer bees was the answer they came up with. When I heard this story, I was dumbfounded, but also curious to hear other people's experiences across the country and the world. So I asked, where were you on 9/11 and what wild and wacky tale were you told?
Did they tell you all it was sandworms where you were?
I was a senior in college, so that would have been weird. But I remember
not believed them.
I should have been in statistics class, but I hated that class and skipped it regularly. So I was, in fact, at home sleeping. And this was still back when you had like old school alarm clocks to wake you up with the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And my alarm just kept going off and I was hitting snooze. But in the snoozing, I kept getting snippets that something had happened.
Just a little bit of news.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? And finally I got up and went in the living room and my roommates and I watched on our big screen tube TV that had been my parents' and was like shot. It was like staticky. You could barely see anything. Like that kind of footage of what had happened. And we were all shocked. My roommate and I, one of us had a class, so we left to go to class. We got to campus at UNT and found out classes were canceled. Everyone was going home. And then we went to donate blood. And the line was so long to donate blood that they were like, if you are past this point, there's no way we're going to be able to see you today. Please leave your name and we'll call you back. It was nice to see such an outpouring already of support from the community because clearly it was one of the most shocking things. I don't even think at the time, I could say for a fact, I am more affected now looking back and understanding the gravitas of the situation now than at the time, probably, just because I've seen so much more now, so much more footage and heard those phone calls from the plane and that I didn't at the time. So I have a even more somber appreciation for what that day entailed now than I did on the day it happened.
Yeah, I think with hindsight and also context of kind of where we've gone since then and in the aftermath, what we learned and whatnot. I was a freshman in high school and I remember watching it, listening to Kid Craddock while watching the television on mute and being like, what the and like hearing Kid Craddock being like, oh, like it kind of throws you off when somebody who, while it was a very whimsical show, sort of always had next thing, they'd be like, okay, and up next is this. And to just hear him be like, and it's like this like playhouse that I would listen to every morning. It's usually so bouncy, was just like, and then my mom's like, you gotta go to school. Like, sorry. I'm like, but I think something just, and then I get to school and we were in, we called it the multi-purpose room. It was basically a big meeting room because all of the classes of my English teacher were all going to go on a field trip to the Arboretum that day. So they've got, 150 students all sitting together going, what happened? Like, we didn't have cell phones. So our parents just dropped us off some earlier than others. And we're just like, I don't know, shit's weird. Go to school. Bye. So our teachers had to come in and be like, well, there's been a tragedy at the World Trade Center. And then just, I guess because we were high schoolers, they just put all the TVs on CNN all day in almost every class. So we just kind of got to watch stuff while, bless their hearts.
Arboretum trip?
No, they can't. They were like, we're afraid that there might be further attacks, so we can't have any, we can't have you leaving the school. So they didn't cancel school. We stayed there. No killer bees.
I'm surprised they didn't send y'all home.
We stayed together. Mesquite ISD was like, we're not losing a school day, period. So they kept us all there. And then for real, but it was.
Shout out to all those parents that dropped your kids off after 9/11. It was very clear what happened.
Nancy McKinney dropped me off.
You're like, bye-bye anyways.
She was like, it was New York. But I mean, at the time, nobody really knew. Like, again, we were like, oh, it's New York. It's so far. But then a guy in the class was like, my mom is on a business trip to New York. Luckily, she was okay. Somebody else was like, my brother's in the military. This means he's going to get deployed. And like, he eventually did. Like, it was that kind of like in the moment kind of grappling. But like you said, at the time, we were all kind of like, oh, we get a day of school. We're not really doing anything. We're just watching this. And then at some point you're going, should we be watching this when the health teacher's in the back of the class, not next to the footage? And we're just, the famous footage of people escaping the buildings in whatever way they could and just being like, we shouldn't be seeing any of this at all at the age that we're in. But, I think it was unprecedented and nobody knew what to do. And thank God I was with Mrs. Mull, who was our teacher at the time. And my first period class was with her because she was kind of like our, mama. Like, we were all just like, what do we do? And she was like, we were little baby ducks, like up against her. And she's like, if you're in my class, you're safe, kind of thing. And so we at least got to be with her. But I think you're 100% right. At the time, I was just kind of like, this is a weird thing. And then that was kind of a big deal. And then the more space you get from it, you're like, that was a huge deal.
Yeah. And it's remains probably the hugest deal that has occurred in our lifetime.
Certainly, absolutely, but not a swarm of killer bees, though. You got to tell the kids something.
Wish it had been.
Yeah, it would have been better. We'd have been, a much funnier after story, I'm sure. But you got to tell the kids what you got to tell them when they're in class. Yeah, they're elementary schoolers.
It's hard because or at least I don't like lying to my children. I also understand some stuff, like just developmentally, their brains can't take that type of information yet. And so if you are a parent that has found yourself recently having to be like, how do I explain to my child like what happened yesterday at that college campus? How do I explain these school shootings that have happened? When my kid asked me, what was 9/11, during a class project where they interview someone that was alive during that time. I remember having to like do that, but for like World War II type of stuff.
JFK or whatever.
Yeah. And it is hard to like pick and choose your words to where you're giving a depiction where you're still bearing witness to what those people went through without shocking your children so much that, they're just
wrecks them.
Yeah, it just fucks them up forever. It was a day that fucked people up forever, though. I mean, very sadly. And a ton of kids lost their parents that day. It's I can't even really now like watch footage about it because it's so horrifying to think about. And we watched some documentary recently, and like the very first scene with no warning was both planes. And we both were like, oh my God, like to see it with no warning, even having seen it. But again, you're seeing it in 4D, up close, maybe shots you haven't seen before.
It was very extensive coverage of 9/11, and it was the Hunt for Osama bin Laden on Netflix.
That's
first
what it
episode.
was.
It's like the first half of the first episode is just It tracks like what's it called? No Other Plane in the Sky, which was the oral history of 9/11. It's a phenomenal book, but it's a moment by moment by moment, and it goes chronological, and it pretty much tracked that exactly. So you really are like along for the ride of what happened that day.
And
for anybody
in
who's
real
curious,
time.
yeah. Oh, it's right.
It's very much in real time. Like you see the second plane hit in real time, and it's horrifying being like, 2 decades later, looking back on it with the insight and knowledge I have now. It's just, we were talking just the other night. I can't imagine the fear those people felt on those planes and the heroes that they were for doing what they did to sacrifice their own life to ensure that others weren't killed. I truly can't really think of a worse way to go than being on one of those planes that hit one of the trade centers, unless you were in the trade center seeing that plane come straight at you. It's I saw the picture earlier of the infamous shot of the falling man, which just, man, I sat with that for a minute and just thought, I mean, like we talk about a lot with Zen Buddhism, like bearing witness to people's pain and suffering is one thing that makes us all human. It humanizes others to us, and it doesn't diminish what those people went through. So while it is hard to talk to your kids about, and maybe you make up something about a swarm of killer bees in the moment, which I totally get, at some point, I think it's important to sit down with your kids and explain kind of like a more realistic version of what happened and how it affected the country and still affects the country.
It really does. That's why I have a lot of respect for how you parent, because one of my tenets is right speech, right? Telling the truth, speaking the truth, not hiding things, but doing it compassionately. And I feel like you find ways to do that where you're truthful and compassionate with the kids while mindful of you can't explain easily what a terrorist attack is, right?
No.
But, you want to maintain that level of trust, with your kids, and it's not easy. So I have a lot of respect for you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's very hard, and they still don't know why they do these lockdown drills, like the real reasons, and I hate that because the onus should not be on them to save themselves from something if that happens. The onus is on us to protect one of our most vulnerable populations from ever having to go through something like that. So when they're lied to and, told, just in case like somebody gets in, someday they're going to see all the footage of all the things. And then they're going to realize, oh, this is why we do all of these drills. Why hasn't this been fixed since the late 90s when this first happened? And to that, Ella and Simon, I have no answer. And I hope the day that you listen to this episode many years from now, it's a much different time.
When you hear this and you're 25, it's all been fixed.
25.
When you're 25, you're too young to hear it before then.
Yeah.
You're too young. But tell us what the future's like, though. If you're listening on September 11th, 2050, I want to know what it's like.
What's going on?
Reach out. Find me. But thank you for letting us take a moment, Katie. Thank you for writing this in and letting us take a moment to talk about where we were and remember all these folks.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those that were directly affected by this, our hearts are with you. It's a hard day for the whole country, but for people that were directly affected, I can't even begin to imagine. So I'm not going to say thoughts and prayers because that's been watered down so much it means nothing and has become a meme. I also don't think prayers are solving anything or the shit wouldn't be happening anymore. So I'm going to say reform, and I was trying to think of another R word that sounded good. Reform and responsibility.
There you go.
There we go.
There, and respect.
And respect. Reform, respect, responsibility.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Man, I've been trying to do some things to calm myself down before I go to bed. I like to journal, gratitude journal at the end of the night, get my to-do list going. Because if I don't do that, I'm just laying in bed thinking about all the stuff I have to do. But you know what? The other thing that helps me sleep, besides getting all that out of my head, is getting my body into some soft sheets where I can unwind, de-stress. It's so extraordinary. I feel like I melt into my mattress. Boll & Branch's signature sheets are made free from toxins with the finest 100% organic cotton. They feel buttery soft to start, and they get softer with every wash. And they're ethically crafted by expert artisans that earn fair wages. Don't go by me, because Christy Wallace found Boll & Branch before that we ever started working with them as a sponsor, and we were thrilled when they wanted to work with us because she had vetted, like she does everything in her life, vets the high quality of things, and had already determined that Boll & Branch was good. And I was like, I'm down to try. Now we all sleep in Boll & Branch sheets. Softer, smoother, cuddlier, not all together, mind you, in our own separate beds. But with Boll & Branch sheets, it wouldn't matter if 10 people were in bed with you. That's how soft they are. You can try Boll & Branch sheets for an entire month. Seriously, you can wash, style, and feel the difference for yourself risk-free. If they don't change the way you sleep, you can send them back for a full refund. Boll & Branch is not responsible if you can't get 9 other people in bed with you, though. That has nothing to do with them. Feel the difference an extraordinary night's sleep can make with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/creepy. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/creepy to save 15% and unlock free shipping. Exclusions apply.
Well, this next one's from Kim, and it's called Working with Bomb Guy. Kim writes, "Hi, ladies. Longtime listener, first-time submitter here. Love the pod and everything you do. Thank you for being your hilarious selves, and the reason I am the only lifelong New Englander I know who owns multiple pieces of Buc-ee's merch, despite never having been to the South. It's the first website my husband looks at when he needs a gift from me, and he crushes it every time. Speaking of my husband, he's a high school Spanish teacher and the absolute best person I know. So I want to thank you for the passion and attention you give to stories regarding gun violence and mass shootings. It's the fear I live with every day as his wife. And though we don't have any children and never plan to, I relate to every story about sending the person you love the most into a school where the unthinkable can happen. It's a terrible reality we live in, where this has to be on our minds and the people we love have to endure this kind of pressure, while simultaneously being expected to shape the young minds of America. So thank you for speaking with these issues with such care and passion. Now on to my story. This story happened at the last job I worked at. I was a lab technologist for a small biotech startup in the Northeast. I was hired about 2 years after the business kicked off, and it was very much still in the developmental phase. Because of this, there wasn't a lot of work for us to do in the lab. Most of my day was spent commuting an hour there, typing some emails and joining some Teams calls, goofing off with my one fellow lab tech and lab manager, and then leaving early and driving the hour back home. The building our lab was in used to be owned by a major pharmaceutical company, but had been purchased by the state and rented out individual labs and offices to local startups at a reduced rent. So this story does not have to do with my company, but another small company that rented space in the same building. On some days when we knew we weren't receiving lab samples and didn't have anything else to do in the lab, my manager was nice enough to spare me the 2-hour commute and let myself and my coworker work from home. This really came in handy when Taylor Swift put out TTPD and I got to lay in bed all day and answer an errant email or two with the album playing out of my TV on repeat. On this particular day, my boss had texted me that we could work from home for the day, to which I promptly thumbs up, opened my laptop, and curled up in bed to get some extra sleep. At around noon, my boss texted us again to confirm neither myself nor my coworker had gone into the lab that day. We both said we stayed home and were met with an, "Okay, good." A bit of a weird response, but we thought nothing of it. About 2 hours later, we get another message from my boss asking if we could hop on a quick Teams call. Nothing too abnormal about this. He would frequently ask us to join a call to explain how he wanted a certain document drafted or to tell us the latest gossip from his meetings with upper management. We both joined, and nothing could have prepared us for what he said next. My boss told us that he had received a call from the building manager asking if we had any staff in the building today. He told her we'd all stayed home, and she said to let her know next time because the building had to be evacuated and she wasn't sure if we'd all made it out. When he asked why the building was evacuated, she told him there had been a bomb in the building and the FBI bomb squad was called. Yes, you read that correctly. Not a bomb threat, an actual bomb in the building. Now, my lab was a biology lab, so the samples we received were mostly blood, plasma, or urine, but not every lab in the building was biology related. Apparently, one of the guys in a chemistry lab company had been building bombs and storing them in the basement to sell on the side of their actual company work, and the FBI somehow found out and showed up to secure the building. A small one had even accidentally gone off and blew a hole through one of the windows in their lab. The man was arrested and apparently had been on their watch list for a while since he had done this before. My coworker and I both picked our jaws up off the floor. Keep in mind, I had been working at this job for maybe 2 months at this point. My coworker had been around much longer, and she asked my boss, was it the guy who basically sprints around the building and drives the BMW and always speeds like crazy through our very small parking lot? And it turns out it was. This man was shifty-eyed and always in a hurry, which isn't that suspicious on its own, but had we known he was on a watch list for previously having built and sold bombs, we would have taken a closer look. Naturally, I called my then boyfriend, now husband, and told him everything, and also texted a bunch of my friends because how crazy is this? One of my friends had told her coworkers, and one of her coworkers' husbands was actually one of the FBI agents who was at our building, and he was able to corroborate everything I'd told her. We went back to work as usual the next day, as the building had been cleared of any and all explosives. My coworker showed me the hole in the window of their lab when we were, quote, casually taking a walk around the building. A few days later, Bomb Guy came back with a box truck to clear out the rest of his lab, surprisingly not escorted by the FBI. Yes, he did zoom in and out of the parking lot in the box truck, but we never saw him again after that. And that's my brief brush with the Bomb Guy. I'm grateful I was at home that day because I would have been so mad to have driven an hour to work only to be kicked out because some idiot wanted to make some explosive side cash, which sounds like a great band name in my opinion, but not a good way to make a living. Thank y'all again. Attached are the pictures of my teacher hubby and I from our wedding and our beautiful fur baby Nala, affectionately called the happiest girl in the world, Kim.
If somebody works at a chemical factory, you gotta vet them first and see if they're on a list.
I am shocked that they came back unescorted to be able to get the rest of their things.
Right. That makes me wonder. I'm like, did you not you were just like informed that you would be getting in trouble and you're like, I gotta get back there before anybody catches me. Like, surely, I don't know. That was wild to me that they were like, yeah, you could get the rest of your stuff. We already got all the bombs out.
One went off. It blew a window out.
Crazy.
And this person was already on a watch list. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's wild. Somebody dropped the ball on that one. Maybe he was supposed to be under surveillance and got a box truck and just got the fuck out while he still could. That is
my FBI
wild.
agent's
I'm
on a
glad
nap.
you were at home that day, Kim, because I too would have been real pissed to drive all that way for all that to happen. Also, terrified.
Yeah. Also, just in general, it sounds like your job can be done very easily and well from the bed. So I think that you should always get to work from home /
always
bed.
do that.
And Taylor Swift should come out with albums all the time, and then
Yes.
you can win-win for everybody involved. But yeah, my goodness, a previously known bomb guy working at a chemical lab. Like, you've got to have a centralized database of people that have gotten in trouble with chemicals before, and that's got to be checked before they're given access to any more. Like,
I agree.
you know, you don't have a track record, we'll let you try it, but then if you start mixing them together, you're out of here.
You're out of here. Your beautiful fur baby is beautiful, and so are you and your hubby in these wedding pics. This looks very much like a venue here in Dallas, but I don't believe it is. But it looks like a couple venues that I've been to weddings at, and I love that exposed brick. Kind of looks like the venue where I got married, honestly.
Same, right?
Exposed brick, and like kind of like chic industrial wooden brick look, which I very much am a fan of. You guys are a beautiful couple.
You really are. Thank you. And thanks for sharing that puppy.
Love Nala with the ranch squeak toy, too. Look how happy she is. That's how I look when I get ranch.
She is, with her head upside down. What a sweet girl.
Well, thank you so much for sending that in.
Sinisterhood will be right back. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth supplements and thought, sure, like that actually works. We did too, until we found out that Nutrafol isn't like the rest of them. Nutrafol is a physician-formulated, clinically tested, and dermatologist recommended. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body since Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF content certified, the gold standard in third-party certification for supplements. You know, a lot of supplements rely on these ingredient studies, but Nutrafol clinically tests its final formulations using advanced hair measurement tools like hair counts and pull tests that track real improvements in growth quality, shedding, and texture. It's not just backed by studies. The research is published in peer-reviewed journals and vetted by doctors. That's what I'm talking about, ensuring scientific rigor and reliable results. Adding Nutrafol into your daily routine is simple. You purchase it online, no prescription required, automated deliveries, free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with the Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free one-on-one naturopathic doctor consults to support you on your hair growth journey, and a Headspace meditation membership is included. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code CREEPY. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code CREEPY. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code CREEPY.
This next one is from our favorite security guard, Maddie. We got a part 3, Recollections of a Security Guard, part 3 from Maddie, our favorite security guard and our favorite skunk owner.
Hell yeah.
Maddie writes, "Howdy, ladies. It's the security guard with a pet skunk again. Last time you read my stories, I really appreciated how you emphasized that people on the street at night are usually not doing very well. A lot of them are just desperate, unhoused, or struggling with addiction and mental health. I was hesitant to send in some of these stories because I don't want to contribute to the demonization of these people. The great majority of folks I encounter at work are perfectly harmless, even when they're having a crisis. But it wouldn't be that interesting if I just talked about the drunk kid who cried and hugged me when I called his mom for help, or the man in the tiny cow pajamas who talked like a superhero and was very impressed with the lemonade I gave him. Okay, maybe that one is a little interesting. But just keep in mind that we live in a system that makes falling into holes easy and climbing out very difficult. I've heard the phrase, 'I don't know how my life ended up like this,' more than once. With that out of the way, here's my story. Sorry in advance that the timeline is confusing. One night I showed up to work and learned that during the day, a guy from off the street had followed someone into one of the buildings and spent several hours there. We'll call him Biker Dude because he was a pretty tough-looking guy with a shaved head and a long white goatee. I started combing through the security footage to see what Biker Dude got up to, but was soon interrupted by a call from off the property. It was a woman who claimed that my company owns her house and that there was a man breaking in. Apparently, he had somehow cut power to her lights as well. She said that she had called the police 3 times and without anywhere else to turn, resorted to calling me. Now for context, I work at a complex of 5 interconnected buildings. My company also owns a string of completely unrelated properties down the street, but the address she gave me wasn't on that particular street. I'm also used to getting calls from people with dementia, including some who mistakenly believe that strangers are in their residence, and it seemed far-fetched that anyone would be able to knock out her lights, so I didn't really take her story seriously, but I promised that I would check it out. I spent a few minutes running around the surrounding blocks looking for a place that didn't exist, because in her panic, she had given the wrong address. She called back to say that the man was now flooding her basement. When I finally found the place, it was some sort of duplex or quadplex or whatever you call it. All seemed quiet, though. I was about to knock on the door when the police pulled up, so I handed things over to them and went back to work checking the security footage for Biker Dude. It took me a while to piece together all the details, because there were plenty more interruptions to be had. But in summary, Biker Dude wandered around chatting with the elderly residents and then made his way to the parking garage for a few hours. There, he laughed and argued with hallucinations, slashed some tires, broke some expensive equipment, and stole some things. I saw that he had some bladed weapons in his backpack along with electronics that were probably stolen. At one point, he crouched next to the elevator and a woman came out and walked past him without noticing. Why did it take me so long to review all the security footage? Because the cops soon came to tell me that, as it turned out, everything the lady said who called me was true. We did own that building. Surprise! There really was an armed man turning her basement into a flooded bunker, and he was now dumping kerosene everywhere while brandishing a machete through the basement window. Luckily, he had left his backpack outside, and the police were able to show me his ID. To all the Nancy Drews listening at home, can you guess who was on the ID? That's right. After pillaging my workplace, Biker Dude decided to break into this lady's home. Luckily, she and the other residents of that building had gotten out safely, so I brought them to the lobby to hang out. The police got to break out all their fancy toys for a good old-fashioned standoff. Around a dozen cop cars, a SWAT team, a K-9 unit, a mobile command unit, drones, and even a bomb squad. One officer insisted that I immediately give her a list of everything Biker Dude damaged in our building and how much it's all worth. Keep in mind, I had barely gone through any of the footage at that point, and even if I had, I don't know off the top of my head how much an industrial AC unit modulator costs. I'm just a baby. But I'm a baby who's technically the highest authority on site after hours, and there aren't many people working at night, so I do whatever needs doing. As I was trying to look through camera footage, come up with a list of damages, call management, play therapist to a bunch of frazzled people, and wake up the owner of the car with slashed tires, the contracted security guard posted at another building radioed to say that there was some belligerent rando trespassing over there who wouldn't listen to him. Eventually, the trespasser left, and a little while later, climbed a wall to get somewhere he shouldn't and triggered a motion sensor. So I went outside to deal with him, too. The trespasser ignored both the older male security guard in a proper uniform and the swarm of heavily armed cops closing off the street. But he caved immediately to the skinny little trans girl in street clothes who stomped out there with, "I have no time for this," energy. After like 6 hours of this mess, the police finally fed a hose into Biker Dude's basement and pumped in a ridiculous amount of tear gas. That was enough to flush him out, and without a struggle, he was promptly arrested. They used so much tear gas that the street was inaccessible for the next couple of hours, and I don't even know how long it took for that building to be accessible again. A few weeks, if not longer. So that's my story. Could you imagine what would have happened if I actually found Biker Dude while he was breaking into that lady's home? I would have resolved it much more quickly. That's what. It takes 40,000 cops to do the job of one Maddie. You asked some questions about my skunk, Sputnik, last time. In the US, it's typical to have their anal glands removed when they're babies. I've seen footage of it, and it looks pretty simple since their muscles aren't fully developed. They just put the babies to sleep, stick some forceps in there, and pull out the glands. I've heard that the procedure is legally required, at least in the state I got him from, but I couldn't find any law stating that. Either way, he came like that. I didn't get a choice. In some countries, like the UK and Germany, it's illegal to get them descented, as it's considered cruel and unnecessary. Skunks generally don't want to spray, as they only have musk for about 6 shots before needing to produce more, which can take close to 2 weeks. But they all have different personalities. I've heard one British skunk owner say that hers is bomb-proof. One day a bookcase fell on the two of them. She screamed, and the skunk just thought it was playtime. Another owner said hers sprayed after the dog sniffed his butt. Another said hers was a little dumb and trapped himself under the furniture when he grew too big to fit, then gassed himself. I hope that Sputnik doesn't notice or care that his weapons have been removed. I can think of a few incidents where he might have sprayed if he was able to, but I can't say for sure. Though his big anal glands are absent, he still has smaller anal glands in his skin. When he gets stressed out, he can smell a bit skunky, but that's okay. Everyone's allowed to be stinky sometimes. I would recommend that people do a lot of research before considering a skunk. They can be more difficult than a dog or a cat, and it was a huge undertaking trying to manage the paperwork and logistics to get him. But it was my life's dream, and I moved across the country to fulfill it. As usual, I included a few pictures of the little one that you're free to share and some pictures relevant to the story that you probably shouldn't. Lastly, this is really silly, but I also have a little poem I wrote about him if you want to hear it. It was 1957 when a pioneer took flight, and those who looked above him saw a tiny beeping light, a shining silver symbol of how we'd come so far, a traveling companion to dance among the stars. The light's no longer up there in that sparkling cosmic sea, but Sputnik's still a satellite, for now he orbits me.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
And a picture of Sputnik clutching your arm with his little paws and his little face trying to get a bone.
Skunk. I've showed Sputnik to Simon and Ella, who now think we should get a skunk, and
Agreed.
I'm not completely opposed to it because the snuggling of the arm, look at him going after that bone. I get
love
it.
his face.
The one with it looks like a lightsaber is coming out of his mouth. Fantastic. And then, of course, you holding sweet little baby Sputnik. Look how tiny he is.
Little baby angel. Well, I think you're right, Maddie. One Maddie to 40,000 police sounds like the divide there, because you sound like you can handle pretty much anything.
Dude.
Take care of yourself, because you're like balancing a lot. Like, you're like, well, I did this, and then someone called me, and then I had to go out because this person happened. Like, badass. I'm glad you have Sputnik to cuddle with when you get home and like de-stress, because this is a wild job.
You have one of the wilder jobs I've ever heard of. And, you know, sometimes at a job, you're like, man, I worked there for 10 years and this one time, this crazy thing happened. You have like those stories multiple times per night.
Yeah, it's like when I knew someone that worked at the jail. It was like, oh yeah, there's always something. There's always something wild. But the idea that you see someone sus on the cameras and you're like, oh, that's weird, I gotta investigate. And you know, when you get that call, you're like, is this lady serious? Is it not? Because being like, a man kicked my window and it flooded my basement. You're like, did he? Yep. Turns out, holy shit, it's the same guy. Like,
yeah, wild.
I'm glad they got him without a fight and nobody got really hurt.
Yeah, same. And although I had never really thought about how long the lingering effects of tear gas last, and weeks before you can get back into your building that's displacing a lot of people that might not have anywhere to go.
No, for sure. Well, I look forward to any other future security guard stories. This is a wild ride.
Yeah. I love every time I see a submission from you, I get excited. And literally, I think you might be the most badass person on the planet that you can handle all of these people with such grace.
Yes, and compassion
also
and kindness.
Humanity and compassion. Yeah. And I think that's why they react to you the way they do, and not clothes, you know, an officer in uniform, because they've been burned by those people way too many times, and they see you that you just exude a good energy, you know.
Like, and she seems like friend. I will listen to her.
Yes, yes.
It's like, she's best friends with a skunk. No one's cooler than that. You should listen to her.
And her skunk doesn't even have its glands.
Yeah, so take that.
That's how badass it is. It gets around without even being able to spray anybody, much like Maddie.
Hell yeah.
Well,
good boy. Good boy, yes. Sputnik. Sweet baby.
Good boy, Sputnik. Well, thank you so much, Maddie and Sputnik. We send you both our love.
Absolutely. Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this next one's from Melissa, and the subject line is The Comforts of a Haunted House. Hi, Christy and Heather. I've been meaning to write to you guys for a while now, but whenever I've sat down to do it, the words either wouldn't come or life got in the way. In fact, I got interrupted no less than 5 times when writing this. Mom life. First off, let me say thank you for the work you do and the way you handle true crime with respect and dignity for the victims and their families. You're the besties in my ear while I toil away with house chores or sit in traffic on my way to or from work. Truly, you make those monotonous moments so much better. I grew up in a, quote, haunted house. I use quotations around the word haunted because it never felt scary or oppressive to me. We would hear footsteps coming up the stairs when everyone was already upstairs, hear disembodied voices coming from the back bedrooms, feel random cold spots, and occasionally things would go missing just to show up in exactly the spot they should have been all along. But again, this was never something that scared me or my family. In fact, we would often joke that the spirits were welcome to stay and make themselves comfy so long as they did the dishes and maybe helped dust. Now, on to the story. In the fall of 2023, my dad was diagnosed with an aggressive form of renal cell carcinoma. By the time his cancer was discovered, it had already spread to his liver and his bones. My dad is one of the strongest men I know, and he opted for treatment rather than hospice comfort care. Unfortunately, the treatment did not work and really took a toll on his body. By June of 2024, he was placed in a skilled nursing home because we could no longer meet his needs as caregivers. At the same time, my parents' dog Lupin was experiencing his own medical needs due to being 14 years old. All of us were incredibly stressed, scared, and anxious about the future. This is when activity at my parents' house really ramped up. We live in Northwest Washington. We don't have AC in houses like y'all do down south. We just have little window units, or maybe a larger floor unit. My mom is terrified of fire, so she never turns her AC units on if she's not home. And she would go visit Dad every day on her way home from work. Oftentimes, she wouldn't get home till 5 or 6 p.m., and the house would be hot. One day, she came home, and the AC units were on. The house was cool. And then, it happened again. And again. She even took a video of herself leaving the house with the AC off to prove to herself that she wasn't going crazy. There was no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on the units, so there was no way to remotely turn them on. Just inexplicably, they'd be on, and had been on long enough to cool the house down. Then, one night as she was drifting off to sleep, she felt someone tuck the blankets snug around her and gently pat her feet. She said she felt peaceful and slept better than she had since Dad went to the nursing home. The very next morning, she found the portrait of my grandparents, one that had hung securely on the wall for years, face up on the floor. The timing of it all just felt too uncanny to be chalked up to coincidence. It was about a week after this that Lupin was put to sleep. Our vet was kind enough to come to the house and do the procedure there, and we were able to have Dad on FaceTime during it as well. Again, something odd happened. As we were all downstairs saying goodbye and reminding Lupin of what a good boy he was, we heard a crash from upstairs. I went up to check it out, and the Cheerios box had fallen from the cabinet. I know the cabinet door was closed and no one had touched the Cheerios that day. One of Lupin's favorite treats, though, was Cheerios. I like to think it was our friendly house spirit saying goodbye in their own way. Dad came home under hospice care in the fall of 2024. By that point, he was on so many pain medications that he was mostly non-responsive. He slept most of the day, waking up for food and water, and occasionally he would open his eyes if he heard his grandkids coming to visit. About a week before he passed, in a rare lucid moment, he said, "Can you get Lupin on the bed?" When I reminded him that Lupin had passed months before, he looked at me, bewildered, and said, "No, he's right there," and pointed at the foot of his bed. I've heard stories of people close to death having loved ones come visit them, and I honestly think Lupin came to see Dad across to the other side. Dad passed away in October 2024. One thing I know about my dad, he always made sure someone was with me when I received bad news. When my childhood dog died, he called my boyfriend, now husband, and told him first. When he got his cancer diagnosis, again, he called my husband first. It should be no surprise what follows then. The morning my dad died, my husband woke me up. He said he had had a dream where my dad was healthy and strong again. In the dream, my husband and Dad were at my parents' house. My husband said, "Bill, you're okay, you're walking." And my dad responded, "I am." And then my husband woke up. Shortly after this conversation, I got the phone call that Dad had passed away. Even after death, he wanted to make sure I wasn't alone. After the funeral home left with Dad's body, a windstorm came through the neighborhood. The day went from perfectly still to wind whipping through the trees. Probably just a coincidence. It was October after all, but the timing felt sus. I strongly believe that our family truly never leaves us. They watch over us from the other side and intervene when they can. I've had a few more occurrences since my dad passed, but I'll save those for another story. As a final note, I want to say thank you for something Christy, I'm pretty sure it was Christy, Heather, sorry if it was you, once said. No one loses their battle to cancer. It's a mutually assured destruction. Dad never wanted cancer to beat him, and reframing his battle in my mind has gotten me through so many rough days. Thank you for reading this. My dad truly was an incredible man. He would give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. Truly, he came home from work once without his coat because, quote, the guy at the bus stop was cold and I can just get another. He was my hero, my inspiration, and I strive to live up to his memory and do him proud. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss him. I've attached a photo of him and I and a photo of my best boy Lupin for your eyes only. And Dad, you're welcome to visit as long as you do the dishes. Love you, gals. Melissa. P.S. I work as a 911 dispatcher/operator, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you ever have them. I know that comes up on the pod from time to time.
Well, Melissa, these photos of you and your dad are so very sweet. Graduation, wedding. I'm glad he was there for such big moments. And Lupin, you sweet, sweet angel. Oh, those soulful eyes, buddy. You were loved.
Oh, yeah. Lupin was there. I feel like Lupin's going to come help walk you across wherever the crossing is. I relate to this. My dad was diagnosed with an aggressive form of small cell lung cancer. In fact, this week is like the anniversary. My Facebook memories are popping up. And the memory from today that I posted in 2017 was kind of like, we're going to fight this and this battle. And like, you do get into that like emotional mindset of it. And then my dad passed away on September 14th. So, not that many days later. And you do kind of have to grapple with like, oh, well, everyone's like, she beat cancer. And it's like, well, does that mean cancer beat us? And, you reframe it, right? And like, no, that's like, it's definitely language I'm cognizant of when dealing with other folks who are struggling with people whose parents died, family members died of cancer. Absolutely.
Your dad sounds like a wonderful man. And I love that grandparents, maybe someone else, maybe just the AC was like even too hot and was like, we got to kick ourselves on because it's too fucking hot in here. But, whatever it was, those feeling of getting tucked into bed and your Cheerios and all those things, they make you feel better. So that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And I agree. If you are inviting the spirits in, help them out. For me, I'm like, can you just help me find things, please? Just whisper to me where it is.
Yeah. Or just like, somehow it appears like right where I thought it would be.
Yes, please. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Melissa, for sharing your sweet dad. And we should all be more like Melissa's dad. And if you got an extra coat, give it to the guy if you can get another one.
For sure.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this next one's from Beth, and the subject line is Schuylkill Notes Redux. I was just checking in to let you guys know that the Schuylkill Notes are still a thing. I actually re-listened to your episode the other day because I found one in the bushes at a popular hiking spot in eastern central Pennsylvania. I myself am from southeastern Pennsylvania. In the spring of this year, I was hiking at a state park in Lebanon County on a loop trail where I found 7 Schuylkill notes that were freshly planted. That was pretty much 1 per mile. Some were still hanging in the trees and bushes. Some were decimated on the trail by angry hikers. Over the summer, I hadn't seen any, but now that fall is approaching, I'm seeing them again. The aforementioned one, and then the other day I was on a popular hiking trail in northern Berks County, and I found one dangling from a bush on a part of that trail that's also part of the road where cars drive. I actually opened that one to read it, and they are more ridiculous and cryptic than ever. I find it hard to believe that it's just one person, considering that all of these locations are probably within at least a 50 to 75 mile radius. I know for a fact that these notes pop up in areas outside of that radius too. Crazy to me that it could be just one person. They do aggravate me because it's littering and it's annoying and it makes you wonder who's out there with you and what they're thinking and why they're doing this. Thanks again for all you do with the podcast.
Oh, well,
real live
well.
Ones. Yeah.
They're still around. I wonder if maybe they're picking back up because it's nicer hiking weather. More people are out.
They're like, it's too hot right now.
if it's where cars drive, you could even just like pull over in your car and tie one. I agree with you though, Beth. I definitely think it's more than one person. And I think probably at this point it's become like, almost like a game or just like a creepy urban legend thing to leave around for people to find.
Like a bit or copy and paste like an old one. I mean, it starts out secret societies, words, signs, symbols. And then from there, it's just all I'll post this on our social media, so you all can see, but it's like part of words and like misspelled words and all various references. I mean, it's like we talked about in the episode. So you got yourself 2 real life Schuylkill notes.
Yeah, that's 2 more than I have. So
2 more than aren't on the trail. And then they aren't on the trail. Out, it is littering at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Plastic bags aren't going to go anywhere. If it was just the paper, eventually they might biodegrade. But like, you're putting plastic Ziploc bags out there. Fuck you.
Hanging them on trees and bushes. Who knows what wildlife might accidentally eat that?
You got birds out here eating fucking paper clips because of you. Cool it, man. Post it on the internet like the rest of us. Well, thank you, Beth, for sending that in. All right, this final one's from Des, and the subject line is, I worked for a Norman Bates lookalike, and it was creepy as hell, but also funny. Hello, Sinisterhood. Newish listener here. A friend turned me on to your podcast a couple months ago, and now I'm hooked. I have a Freaky Friday story for you. Well, I have a lot of freaky stories, and this one is mildly so, with a touch of hilarity. Imagine, if you will, going to work with none other than Norman Bates in a vintage, creepy-ass building. It happened to me. Names have been changed slightly, just in case. Feel free to share the pics, though. At the time, I worked as a graphic designer for a small print shop. It was me, my boss Dan, and our coworker Kyle. After a lovely day off, I was back in the office playing catch-up, when this guy, who was a dead ringer for 1960s psycho flick Norman Bates, walked in and paused in my office door. Hey, Des, he said. We should talk. Come with me. He then strolled to the back warehouse section without waiting to see if I was following. This shocked the fuck out of me. I had never seen him before, but he knew my name and was acting like he owned the place. As it turned out, much to my shock, he did. Dan had sold the company to Norman, and the plan was to merge everything to his larger shop in a different part of town. Dan and I would be kept on, Kyle would be leaving. I was annoyed because I liked working with Kyle, and the incandescent with rage later when Kyle told me on the download that they'd offered him my job. Kyle's a good lad, however, and not only did he not accept, but tattled to me as soon as we had a moment alone. I tried to keep my initial annoyance off my face, but Norman clocked it and repeatedly asked me why I didn't seem thrilled. I insisted it was fine. It was just a surprise. I wasn't prepared for it, I lied. I thought, who knows? Maybe it won't be so bad. I was gravely mistaken. Fast forward a couple weeks of moving to the new location of an old-ass building. The place used to be a cafeteria for a long-gone factory. 125-ish years old, rough, and in a part of town I would gently refer to as not a great place to be. The main floor and basement area were about the size of a high school football pitch. The office area wasn't too bad, but working next to Norman was like working with someone who only knows how to approximate human behavior. He would tell a joke, laugh creepily while maintaining wide-eyed, unbreaking eye contact, or yell at me if I was too helpful to a customer, which is normally the opposite of what you want in customer service. He also talked a lot about his mother and how she had helped, quote, decorate the bathrooms when she heard he would have one female employee. My first full day there, the box containing the contents of my desk was missing, so I asked where I could find some office supplies. I was informed, downstairs, take your phone for light. Okay. So I grabbed my phone and found my way to the weirdly winding passage that led to the basement. It was a narrow, cobweb-infused passage between the new and old facades of the building. To enter the basement, one had to open the 1950s-era glass door, once the exterior door, and would have been at home on the set of a horror flick. I might have decided I didn't need supplies after all, but I did need to use the ladies' room, which was also helpfully located at the bottom of the basement stairs. The stairs were musty and creaky, and the handrail was a thin lead pipe bolted to the wall. At the base of the stairs was a single exposed light bulb, complete with the old-fashioned chain switch. It was the only light in a massive building's basement, and who doesn't love a flickering light bulb for ambience before you die? The washrooms were to either side of the stairs, ladies on the left, so I dodged the junk at the base of the stairs and made my way in. Norman's mother, who was not an employee, had ordered it painted pink, just in case the only woman in the building might not be able to tell which bathroom was the correct one to use. Everything, the ceiling, wall, stalls, pipes, only the sink, toilets, and floor had been spared the hue of Pepto chic. There was only dim light, just enough to give false hope. See attached photos. It was a crappy phone and doesn't do it justice, but you get the gist. The washroom door didn't lock, so that was an extra level of discomfort. Also a metric butt ton of spiders and the signs of their passage. After using a random snow shovel that apparently lived in the ladies' room to clear out the cobwebs for the safest looking stall, I discovered none of the 4 sinks worked. That was great news when I went to wash my hands. In spite of the lack of water, I could still hear ominous dripping from somewhere nearby. I ended up just deciding to use the kitchen sink in the main office and continued on my way into the dark, hoping the supplies I needed were near. The basement was mostly storage, with multiple floor-to-ceiling shelves forming aisles that ran the length of the building. They reached far enough back that the single light bulb couldn't reach more than maybe a quarter of the space. None of what I needed was near the stairs, because of course not, and at that point, I was on the verge of just running back up to hell with whatever it was I was looking for. But also, I didn't want to be made fun of by Dan, who would have found it hilarious. Closer to the entrance, I found a paper and machine parts, but no other office supplies. Further back, I realized the shelves were filled with Norman's personal stuff. Chairs, skis, knickknacks, the sort of random crap you don't expect to find in a workplace. It was in that moment I heard what sounded like a sharp gasp from the next aisle over, and it was in that moment my lizard brain decided to take over. I shot back to the stairs and into the kitchen. Safe-ish, I paused to wash my hands, because even in a panic I have standards, and tried to get a grip. I was just starting to regain my composure when Norman entered the room and placed himself between me and the door to the main office. He asked what I thought of the bathroom color. My mouth went dry, and all I could say was, "It's very pink." He went on to explain how proud his mother was of said color choice. He asked if I'd found what I was looking for. I nodded because I was worried if I said no, he'd insist on escort me back down there, and that wasn't happening. He then decided to rehash his question from our first meeting, asking why I had seemed upset that day, and why did I seem upset the day I'd been told about the takeover? I evaded. I just said I was surprised, that was all. He chose that moment to inform me that the other graphic designer who worked there before me would be the only one, and I'd be relegated to the warehouse to run machines, and Dan would be fired before the week was out, leaving me alone with Norman and the other guy. My path forward was clear. Before I left that day, I grabbed what photos I could so I'd have proof to show my friends, gave my 2 weeks notice the next day, and started going to the fast food joint a block away to use the washrooms, because I was not going back into that basement for any reason. It seems the universe agreed with my decision. After a couple of temp jobs, I landed a nice office job as a graphic designer and marketing manager for a lovely dude who has big Muppet energy and is an awesome nerdy friend. And most importantly, definitely not a serial killer, fictional or otherwise. To this day, I've yet to see Norman's face in the news, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before he shows up as a serial killer, or at the very least, a guy keeping his mother's body somewhere he shouldn't, like, a creepy-ass shop basement, or his home attic. Anyway, I hope you got a good creeped-out chuckle. Love the podcast. Thanks for all you do.
Oh,
this
no.
pink is too pink. It's sick
so pink. Now, do we think Mother is alive and chose this color herself? Or did Norman ask Mother, what color should I paint? And she said like, pink. And then he went in there and said, bet, and painted literally everything but the fucking seats and floor.
Mummy loves pink. I must paint it pink. I wanted to know what that gasp was while she was down there in the shelves, because I feel like, what if it's Mom down there like, a bitch is down here? And you're like, yeah, it's me.
Was thinking Mom
or Norman.
But what I really think is I think it was Norman. I think he went down there after she went down there and was just like waiting. And then when you bolted upstairs, Des, then he went back upstairs. And what was he gasping? Because like, she's about to find Mother, because she's through the skis and the chairs.
And Mother's
first
just
of all,
in the chair? Maybe
the most shocking part of this is that Norman skis.
Yeah,
because
first of all.
I can't imagine somebody like this skiing.
I love a black diamond when I can get to the slopes. And you're like, Norman, what? He's like, many think I would simply sit in the lodge and drink cocoa, which I also enjoy, but...
Oh, no. I slalom. Mother and I slalom.
Dude, we've got matching suits. Do you want to see hers? I I think it's just your size. Yeah, get
Oh,
the fuck
it's
out
right
of there, dog.
back here in this box. Come with me, Des. It will only take a minute.
You're right, though. Maybe he was like waiting for Des to see if she was going to snoop around or something. He was like going to catch her or something. I don't know, but.
Or be like, what do you think of the pink? As soon as she gets out of the bathroom.
Like, it's get out. It's freaky as hell. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell that. I was just startled and I told the truth really quickly.
And also clean it. For fuck's sake.
It's filthy.
Spiders. I had to use a snow shovel to get the spiders out so I could pee.
Yes, he's like, I see you found the lavatory shovel. And you're like, yeah, I found the lavatory shovel. I didn't know we needed one down there. He's like, the spiders are unrelentless. They're so unruly. They're relentless.
Mother loves spiders. She would never let me get
She
rid of
feeds them to make them bigger and their webs juicier. They shoot huge, juicy webs. Because that's how Mother likes her webs. Juicy.
Norman was
Juicy.
100% trying to get it to be where just you and he, Des, were the employees of this place. Your path was clear.
You did
the
it.
path had already been clear from when Des, we should talk. Come with me. But you didn't know how crazy it was going to get. But then luckily you found out. And I'm glad you snapped these pictures because every part of this looks like a terrifying place to work. 1,000%.
Looks like you working on a set of a horror film, certainly.
Yeah.
It looks like a haunted house for Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
I like, too, that
immersive.
There's one woman that works in this office. Why we can't just have one bathroom is Mother said no.
Mother
the
said
women must use the ladies' lavatory. It's pink, but there's 3 stalls, and still they're all fucking dirty, and none of the sinks work.
It's filthy and pink and not helpful whatsoever.
No.
Mother says I can't hear another girl's urine but hers. If I hear the tinkle, I'll want to drinkle. And they're like, Norman, stop! Norman, no!
Mother's urine is the only urine I'm allowed to drinkle after it tinkles.
I have to tell her if she needs her medicines.
It's too late, though.
Oh, my.
Mother's already passed, but I keep her down here next to the skis in her suit just in case she wants to go.
It's fucking Dusty, dude. He straps her in and takes her
She's
to the...
in a wheelchair with her skis on, just in case.
That's just the squeak of the wheelchair. He can't get her up the stairs, though. That's why I needed you down there. I need you to take the front of the chair to help me drag Mother up. And you're like, I gotta go. I got a new job as a marketing manager. I feel like you'll be all right. I'm gonna go work with this Muppet. It's cool. I'm gonna work with Fozzie Bear.
You gave 2 weeks is so credible of you. Like, I would have been gone. As soon as he left me washing my hands, I would have pieced out.
You're like, no, I'm going to just no call, no show permanently forever. Thank you, bye. I do not, what is it? I don't work here anymore. Thanks, Heather. And that was a post-it note I used to quit a job one time. And they said to give it to him in writing. And I said, as of today, I don't work here anymore. Thanks.
Here it is in writing.
Well, no. Goddamn.
Oh, Lordy.
Des,
I wonder what Norman's up to now, what this business is up to now.
Norman's like, I've transitioned to a motel. He feels more at home. It Goddamn.
Does, yeah.
Well, thank you, Des.
You.
That was funny.
Yes, thank you, Des, for sending that in. And thank you to everybody who sent in your Freaky Friday stories. If you have an odd but true story, maybe you've encountered Bigfoot, you've seen a UFO, you had a brush with true crime, or you felt the presence of an otherworldly being, send them in at sinisterhood.com/Freaky Friday.
I love all the stories we get, but I'm hankering for a cryptid if anybody's got one anytime
Ooh,
soon. Maybe
yes.
you all see a Bigfoot sometime on your fall camping trips.
Yes. Yeah, while you're out looking for those Google notes, see if there's a Bigfoot nearby.
Scan the horizon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we might have our own Bigfoot or cryptid encounter. Maybe Bigfoot's cruising. I feel like Bigfoot is a cruiser.
Oh,
so,
yeah, he might be.
Bigfoot in a tropical shirt with some cargo shorts. Bigfoot in a Speedo at the pool.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we'll see. We're talking about our sea show, Crime Wave at Sea 2025, happening November 3rd through 7th. We're leaving out of Fort Lauderdale. We're coming back different people, y'all.
I've already decided we got a book called Sea Magic, so join us as we
It's gonna
cast spells from the
happen.
boat.
It's us. It's Ed and Henry from last podcast. We've got Dan and Linz from Scared to Death. True Crime Campfire and several other podcasts. There's going to be live shows, fan meetups with the creators. Plus, we're all just like hanging out on a cruise ship. So meetup or not, we're all kind of just vacationing together. We're stopping in the Bahamas. We're stopping at a private island. It's going to be a hell of a... I'm sorry. It's going to be a whale of a time.
Hey, a whale of a time. And if you're like, I can't get out onto the water, don't worry. Get into the land. We've got a land show October 4th at the Texas Theater here in Dallas, Texas. I was there last night watching Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. It's a fantastic building. It's going to be a fun show. I got so excited just sitting in the theater, center of the house, like looking at the stage. And I was like, we're going to have so much fun showing you all the cool things on the big ass screen. So go to sinisterhood.com/live shows. Tickets for both of those things are on there. And as soon as, we're imminent to give you streaming options as well, but you're going to want to be there live as well.
Absolutely. And if you are there live and you catch something creepy on camera, well, you know where to send it. You send it right on over to us so we can live react to it during Sunday Scaries, our weekly live stream over on Patreon every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Central. It's totally free. Go to sinisterhood.com to submit Sunday Scaries videos, submit topics you'd like us to cover, submit your odd but true tales, and then we will see you over on Patreon on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Just enter your email address. You get access to that as well as a whole backlog of free stuff that we just make for saying thanks for being a member of our community.
I've gotten to look forward to Sunday Scary so much every week. It's so much fun, and we love to see all new faces in the chat and all of our old favorites.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like a good time and a good community. Thank you.
It's so much fun. And you guys are crushing it with the types of videos you send, too.
Oh, they're so good.
Well, if you like our free episodes like the one you heard today, you'll love our Patreon bonus content. You can join for free to see what we're up to next, or dive into over 1,000 hours of segments like Judge Christie, where I rule on petty grievances you bring before the court, True Crime Headlines, where we break down the latest news and updates in true crime, Heather Saves, where anything Heather has found late night scrolling could be discussed, and Am I the Asshole? Unpopular opinions and other subreddits that we feel require our input. We got 2 posted this week, a Judge Christie and an Am I the Asshole? So both very different, both very fun content that has gone up this week over there on Patreon.
We can't wait. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you can join for free for a week at any of the tiers. Check out all of the perks. Cancel anytime before the trial is over without getting charged. If you stick around, get an annual membership, you get 1 month free. So it's cheaper to do an annual membership. And when you do join, what do you get?
You get ad-free episodes, monthly live stream Q&As. The next one's coming up on Thursday, September 19th at 8 p.m. Central. Quarterly live bonus content. We got one of those coming up soon too, and we let you all vote on what you want us to do. Weekly audio bonus content, mini-sodes, merch discounts, and a community of the best listeners on the whole internet.
Head over to Sinisterhood.com and click shop on the top banner to check out Sinisterhood merch like t-shirts, mugs, totes, stickers, and even clothes for your kiddos.
While you're on our website, you can also review the show. Thank you to everyone that's left reviews and 5 stars. You can submit topics and cases you'd like us to cover. And you'll find fun things like topic-based playlists and tickets for Crime Wave at Sea 2025 and Season of the Witch happening October 4th at Texas Theater.
You can follow us on Instagram and Threads at Sinisterhood Pod, like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood, follow us on YouTube and TikTok at Sinisterhood Podcast to watch episodes, clips from the episodes, live streams, and more. If you're looking for a unique and personal gift for the Sinisterhood fan in your life, or you want to treat yourself, get you a pep talk, a happy birthday, any kind of a message from us on Cameo now. Cameo is where we can create a custom video that can be immediately viewed and sent. It's a thoughtful gift. It's a perfect gift when you're not sure if they already have something you're fixing to buy them, because all Cameos are unique and you don't even have to leave your house to order it. Go to cameo.com/Sinisterhood. Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm on Instagram and Threads at Christy M. Wallace and TikTok at Christy or GTFO. Heather?
I remain everywhere online at Heather versus the world.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy.
Sin